Thank you for joining XRO, which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today, I'm really happy to have with me Mr. Vishal Reddy, who's the founder of Wowsome. Just a day back, I was on his website. He has put a grand vision of sorts for Wowsome. The grand vision statement says, "We are on a mission to create a new world. A world where communication knows no boundaries. A world where imagination and vision translates into abundance. A world that exists beyond the limitation of space and distance. A world where collaboration and sharing comes naturally. A world of joy and happiness. A world where every man, woman, and child can realize their potential and experience what it means to be truly human." So Vishal, pleasure to have you on the show. So let's start with a brief introduction and give us a lowdown on your grand vision.
Well, our vision is simplified now from a very business-centric perspective. Is basically to accelerate the adoption of immersive technologies. We have built expertise over the last several years to be able to design, develop, and deploy immersive experiences across various business areas and industries. And our current vision is to accelerate or hyper-accelerate the adoption of these technologies across businesses. Immersion for me personally has been the medium to make our dreams a reality, because in the digital space, our conventional formula of physics and mechanics do not apply. You have the ability to tweak the variables and put yourself into an environment that will enable to evolve, learn new skills, lose your fears, and live a life that you always dreamt of. Augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, they are the best medium to help us really visualize what we want to manifest. Now, of course, apply this to business processes and different areas, but from a personal perspective, the possibilities are limitless. You can become more aware of your reality. You can become more aware of your dreams. You can manifest anything you want.
The technology as a tool is so profound at this point in time that all our traditional, the way we've been functioning traditionally, all our businesses can see huge transformation. And that's the reason I'm excited. So you said your main goal at this point in time is to accelerate adoption of AR, VR, MR. And somehow even that's my main goal. And that's been there since the time I got into VR, which is 2015. I realized that it's so potential. It can completely create huge transformation. But in India, the adoption was slow. The education or awareness about this technology was not there. Since you mentioned that one of your vision of the company is to accelerate adoption of this technology here in India, how do you plan to do that, and what are the things that you're doing to accelerate the adoption of AR, VR, MR here in India?
I had come my previous business from an advertising space, and we're looking at technologies, how to enhance and make advertising more measurable and interactive. But I'll give an analogy. When you said hyper-accelerating adoption and you mentioned India, right? So like they say, if you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere in the world, right? So very similar analogy to, especially with any emerging technologies. I, and of course we have spent the last 5 years trying to enroll the market into the value and the benefit of adopting emerging technologies like AR, VR, MR. And through this process, we've had the most difficult conversations, and we've addressed the most unimaginable objections to our proposals. You know what I mean? So this gives us the strength of the argument to be able to make people realize the value, and also factually and logically calculate and present that value. And that's one of our USPs. We've built our own base platform that sits on the foundational tech that has every imaginable automated scripts, accelerators, user workflows for different applications of immersive technologies, in sales, marketing, training, maintenance, etc. So, considering our current situation of the company in terms of scaling up, we've spent the last 5 years largely in the India market, doing a few thousand experiences, with the largest companies across sectors. We are at a pivot point right now where we're expanding globally. We've already acquired some R&D, some IP in the UK, and we're using that as a base to expand globally. So I expect most of the hyper acceleration happening now in the more evolved market. We've built all our learning knowledge with some amazing partners here in this environment in terms of customers, but we've also gained intelligence by working with our global partners because we build solutions on global AR engines made by PTC, Apple, Android, Microsoft, and the like. Yeah, and these partners have supported us to create solutions. So with this knowledge and the quality and the process expertise and the best practices that we've established in the industry, we're going global.
The main problem point I saw with AR, VR, MR was the awareness of this technology. So I started with Immersion, which is India's first and largest AR, VR film festival and conference. And that was, I thought, like one way to create awareness about this technology, because I believe that to create a sustainable ecosystem, you have to have all the vested players together: the startup ecosystem, the marketeers, the investors, and the government. And when you get all of them together, you create an ecosystem that's sustainable. Like you, I have also been invested in the advertising industry. You mentioned that you are looking at making it more measurable and interactive with AR, VR, MR. So let's start over there. Let's start with the use cases. Which do you think are the most valuable use cases that you see for AR, VR right now? Because as an entrepreneur, there was various challenges, but also there was lots of opportunities, for AR, VR, MR here in India. So for you, what was the challenges and opportunities? And also talk about my first question was the use cases. What are the use cases which are the most, you see, which is going to be most beneficial at this point in time for AR, VR?
Initially, the first 2 years, we spent working with publishers. The Hindu, namely, was a client with us for almost 3 years, and then the Times Group as well, where we created an AR experience to add interactivity into their existing mobile application. Yeah. Through this, so here's the user workflow. You have the Hindu mobile application where you're reading the newspaper. There's an option to interact with the newspaper. You select that option. Then selected targets like ads and articles would augment with live digital content. You can play with it and then interact with it and share it. In some cases, even play games on it. That was a trend that we initiated and enrolled an entire industry for the first time in the world. It ran, people put in effort for over between 2 to 3 years. Ultimately, it wasn't sustainable. So it remained as, great try, good story, but the ROI, sustainability, the several factors. There's a whole case study around it that we can present. So this was the first 2 years. Yeah. Following which, in between, we did a lot of campaigns that added interactivity to physical spaces, which are malls, retail stores, and these on-ground campaigns where marketers place booths in various locations. Sometimes they have mobile vans, which are booths, right? We developed our own product. We did extremely well for about the 2 years in between. Now, these are just the primary products. Around it, we did a lot more, wide range. Those 2 years, we were adding interaction to physical spaces with interactive booths and kiosks using skeletal tracking sensors and no-touch interfaces. They're extremely gamified. They would capture all the data, and they worked as a remote terminal to do your digital engagements. But on the other side, there is industrial augmented reality, where which is the main focus and the larger part of our business has been always. If you ask me what are the top use cases in there, it's primarily around visualization of product or experiences. Again, in 3D, AR, VR, especially now because visualizations have to be remote. People are not able to meet so often. and it's not as safe as sustainable to meet anymore. The other use case being remote assistance, where in comparison with a regular video call, in an AR enabled call, both parties can in fact mark and draw annotations in the spatial environment and move around. To repair a machine in a factory, for customer service, for retail experiences, there were several use cases for this. So visualization, remote assistance, and then procedural guidance in augmented reality. These are the top three use cases today. AR procedural guidance replaces traditional manuals and 2D instructions, either be it on the factory floor or fixing your own appliance. Augmented reality will project instructions on how to operate, on how to repair on top of the object. And this pretty much makes the entire process a no-brainer, fully guided and tracked. Yeah, and it greatly increases the productivity, reduces risk, and increase compliance. Yeah, one of the major industries that we've been working with is pharma sector, where AR procedural guidance and remote assistance combined has immense benefit on the factory floor.
When you start as an entrepreneur, especially with a technology which is new, there are so many downside. So lots of people say a first mover's advantage is always good, but you rightfully said, I mean, that there are so many disadvantages also, because you have to convince the market about the potential of this technology. You mentioned that you did something in AR experience with Times Group, and it fell apart. But I think that is, maybe it was too early into the ecosystem, and maybe in the next few years or this decade itself, by the end of the decade, maybe of physical newspapers would not be so relevant. What would be relevant in that world in maybe 10 years time would be a completely digital interface. Yes. And I hope that the listeners, the companies, have some foresight and start building products, services, solutions, and building things to keep their company relevant in the future. So we are getting in a very exciting space. You spoke about the works that you have done, with your remote assistance, AR and things like that, and your pharma. You mentioned about some products that you've been building. Would you like to talk a little bit more about the products and services that you're building at Wowsome?
As a company, we have two arms. The existing business and IP that we built over the last several years in India is a solutioning company. The solutions are built at a highly accelerated pace using our existing platform, but the delivery is as services. Yeah, where we identify the pain point, quickly bring in the core components, and design solutions. For example, a product visualization application where you able to visualize, let's say, vehicles, automobiles through a mobile app in the physical environment. We bring in the engine, we bring in the front-end mobile application, a back-end content management system. All these are models that we already developed, put it together and deliver it for the customer. I've mentioned earlier that we've acquired a team, an IP in the UK. We'll be launching our own product, which will happen at the end of this year by December. It falls into the deep learning AI space, but focused on immersive sector. Right? It is basically a culmination of having worked with thousands of engines, all our partners, and understanding what are the gaps in implementing immersive experiences. It's going to be a B2B platform that will basically hyper accelerate the adoption of these experiences by providing the essential media ingestion, media semantic tagging, and media mixing that is required to create these experiences. Yeah, that's the outline of what the product is going to be. It will launch by the end of this year.
Wish you the very best for it. There is an exciting movement happening for not just immersive technologies, but all of the frontier technologies. COVID has somehow been an accelerator for all frontier technologies because all of these are converging. And I guess once it converges, there'll be more benefits and more values which will be seen over this few years. I feel AR, VR, MR is going to play a huge role in creating a future-ready India. I personally am really excited for the education and the healthcare space. And education, I think, is one sector which can completely be upended with AR, VR, MR. How, according to you, India is going to benefit socially, economically with AR, VR, MR?
Certainly, since you mentioned education, um, we are from a generation where we read books, yeah, and somehow, if you think about it, the information is presented in a 2D planar format, and somehow we are magically expected to imagine, visualize uh, the entire process in life size 3D. All that learning time, yeah, can be cut by delivering these experiences on pages, and in physical environments as well, but ultimately replacing text and static pictures with immersive content, which is 3D and augmented reality. See, 3D virtual reality gives you a first level of immersion, where you can visualize a space, people, processes in a virtual environment. When you bring that to augmented reality, you get a complete spatial awareness in life size. You can walk through things literally, yeah, and get a real sense, the most satisfying sense of consuming an experience or making yourself feel a part of an environment. Right? Yeah, on the idea of immersion, that just came to my mind. Right, traditionally, immersion was delivered through physical meetings. Immersion is the need to be completely involved in a task, right? You bring people to an office so that they focus on their work. You go to your kitchen so that you're focused on cooking, right? Um, you bring people to a concert or an opera so that they're immersed in that environment. They don't think of anything else. Uh, what these technologies do is that they supplement these physical experiences. Yeah. You and I are through a remote conversation. Can we experience each other, make this more realistic and engaging and as interactive as possible? That is the idea of immersion, and this narrative uh, that we use is what's working well to make people easily understand what they're getting into. Yeah, you're enhancing your business tasks with immersion so that people are ultimately involved in what they're doing, which increases your productivity and reduces risk. Sorry, maybe I
Right, right,
distracted, but yeah, it's a thought, it's a
right.
conversation that's very effective.
You mentioned about the 2D and 3D world. I mean, we live in a three-dimensional world. For the longest time, we've been restricted. Our interface has been 2D. Right from our theaters to our TVs to our phones to our computers. But we are now moving to the next evolution of computing, the spatial computing or the metaverse. There are the various names which is being given to the next evolution of computing, where we will break away from the 2D world and actually get into the 3D world. In fact, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg has said that he wants to be a spatial computing, a metaverse company. So for my listeners who do not know about what spatial computing is, or what metaverse is, or what kind of economical value is held there for enterprises and businesses, would you like to define spatial computing and how would it benefit us?
See, all our devices are in 2D plane. Yeah. Throughout the day, we are constantly faced with the decision whether to consume content in our device or have a physical experience, right? So you're shifting between these two dimensions constantly, yeah. And the more number of decisions you have to take in a day, uh, the more you're exerting yourself, the more stress you have, right? Do I come to meet you personally through a flight, or do I do this call remotely? It is a decision, right? Through spatial computing, you are projecting all the digital information, digital media in your physical environment. Yeah, you would be standing in front of me in 3D, right? This completely changes the game. It reduces the need for physical interactions, and it it always keeps us in an environment for ideal ideal way of being, for ideal performance, an environment that you want, that you design for yourself. It may just sound too engineered, too impersonal, but to a large extent, we want to control and engineer how we feel throughout the day, so that we are completely focused on the tasks that we do, because all of us want to be productive, so that we can have our time off, be more efficient with our day-to-day work. It's going to be a beautiful place to learn a lot, to engage, to make learning, retention, to be able to experience, to be able to gather new experiences much easily, yeah, to avoid physical travel. Um, the way I see this impacting, well, the economic benefits are huge. It will require significant cultural change, um, but the efficiencies that will drive to our lives are going to be huge. The time it cuts, the travel that it cuts, the need for travel, etc., will multiply into greater economic benefits across sectors. That is my projection for this.
As a startup who's been amongst the earliest movers, you said you started somewhere in 2015. What has been the challenges for you as a startup, and what would you think you would like to see for this community to thrive and for the startup ecosystem to thrive? Investors, government support, what is it that's missing according to you, which you would like to see in the ecosystem?
All of them, Eddie. I started out as a bootstrapped entrepreneur. Spent the first 2 years building the company, but in between, I've of course met some partners, some ecosystems that have helped accelerated some critical phases. For example, we had a stint with Telangana Hub T Hub in Hyderabad during 2017 and 18. We're one of the first companies to be selected for the incubator program, and we left that program having closed an angel round. Yeah, very few people or investors who take that kind of a bet in our market has been a challenge. In a way, that's the reason why I naturally graduated into whoever was inviting for better support. And through T Hub itself, we've met the British High Commission Department for International Trade, and they've helped us, acquire some teams and also some grant funding in the UK, which accelerated our development. And seeing that, I'm like, it doesn't anything like this exist in India. And you see the startup program and etc. from the Modi government, right? Somehow it hasn't touched us or has it motivated enough to get into it. I don't know. Not in a position to comment how effective they are or they really deliver value. But being a person of Indian origin, I've gained more support and value from the British government for this company.
Right, yeah. So, yes, I hope there are people listening over here and understand that there is so much potential in this technology. And I hope there's an ecosystem created, and I hope there's VCs, government, marketeers, enterprise, everyone comes together, because this technology, I think COVID has made everyone realize the importance of remote, whatever it is, remote healthcare, remote education, remote training. And over the next few years, I think AR, VR, MR is going to play a huge role in creating transformation across all business sectors. And once it converges with 5G and AI, the benefits are going to be humongous. So I hope that everybody comes together and we create a sustainable ecosystem here in India. Would you like to paint a picture of what this 10 years is going to look like, for this coming 10 years is going to look like for AR, VR, MR? And if there are some companies who are listening in, if they want to get in, where do you think they should start? Which areas are you going to see the most value in this decade?
Certainly. For all companies, the ability to deliver experiences remotely is the key to start with. Yeah, and if you think of industry penetration of AR VR, uh, I peg it would be between 10 to 12% today. I think in 5 years it will go beyond 50%. I'm talking about the penetration of an immersive experience within an enterprise. Yeah. Now, immersive experiences add value the way we put it in three essential tasks: either doing things, yeah, executing an action or a series of steps, procedural guidance, etc. Seeing things, seeing or visualizing people, products, or environments, or products in the environments, and solving, getting help and solving the problem. These essential tasks run our personal and business lives. In 4 to 5 years, AR and VR and MR, with our secret sauce, which is how deep learning AI will enable hyper personalization in these experiences. Our product is based on that, is going to permeate all our lives.
Wish you the very best for it. So, thank you for being part of the show and sharing insights on where the AR, VR, MR industry is going. I'm super excited about the space, and I believe that in this decade itself, there's going to be a larger movement of AR, VR, MR, and it's going to touch our lives. Be it businesses, be it your education institutes, be it governance. It's going to actually start adding real world value, and I'm excited for that space, and that's the reason I'm building an initiative where you create awareness and educate people and enterprise about the larger good that this technology can do. Any last words that you would like to leave us with?
Sure, Eddie. You mentioned education. So we spend a lot of time in creating content and case studies, educational material to the extent of certification, even for all kinds of managers in marketing, sales, training, maintenance, operations, to understand these technologies and use cases of these technologies. You find them in our blogs and on our websites. Education is the key, and the most efficient and the best language to educate people is something that we developed over time, Eddie. And thank you. I really enjoyed myself. Best wishes to you as well. We are in the same industry. We're trying to do the same thing. And thanks for indulging me in such a powerful conversation this evening.
We are a growing economy, 1.3 billion, huge demographic dividend, and then because of COVID, obviously there's been so many negative things, but the positive thing is the technology is there. It's going to play a huge role in creating a future of abundance. Your mission statement, which I spoke about in the beginning, I think that's really profound. And I think we have a tool. I mean, when I say a tool, I mean all of these bunch of technologies. It can play such a huge role in creating a better future. Of a future of abundance for all. And it might sound a little idealistic, but I'm excited for that future. And I think that can happen when all of us come together. Thank you for being part of the XRM podcast. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, please press the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.